The Indianapolis 500, the greatest spectacle in racing. For 106 plus years, the Indy 500 is ran around May in Indianapolis. The cars are out and it's just an awesome time. I always wondered, growing up as a kid in Indianapolis before I actually went to the race, I always asked, why is the Indianapolis 500 so special? So today I will be asking some experts for their opinion on that question.
For me, the ultimate answer to why the Indianapolis 500 is so special is the tradition here. I've been coming to the race since 2011 when I saw this car right here win the Indianapolis 500. This is Dan Weldon's 98 William Raps car. Now, I'll show you the finish in just a minute, but again, just me, even as a 6-year-old kid, I realized the race was so special, and it was the 100th anniversary of the race as well.
The 23-year-old from Sausalito, California. Listen to the crowd cheer him on.
And how fitting for the National Guard car to win if he can indeed do that. Has he got enough fuel to make it to the end?
Half a lap. He's got half a lap to go, and he's the Indy 500 champion. Panther Racing, oh so good. They finished second here, twice here. They come again through the final two corners. J.R. Hildebrand. Careful of traffic. He's got to get around the lap. Traffic. 100 years ago. No! He hit the wall. Just like Thomas Schechter.
Keep their foot on the gas.
Dan Weldon is going to win the race.
For me, the Indianapolis 500 is all about family and the family traditions that lie within it. There's been a member of the Burkle family here every year since 1946. My dad's first race here was in 1986, where he saw this car right here, the number 3 Budweiser of a Bobby Rahal win, his only Indianapolis 500. And ever since that, my dad's been hooked. And then in 2011, he added a new fan to the family when I went to the 100th anniversary of the Indianapolis 500.
Advantage up. There in front of him on the right, now the left. Dwayne Sweeney holds a checkered flag for the 1986 Indianapolis 500 champion, Bobby Rahal.
In 2020, when the Indianapolis 500 was held without fans, it really hurt me. Especially me and my dad especially. It just hurt us because, again, not being here and not realizing and not seeing this race in person, it just honestly really sucked. And that is something that now we hold even more accountable is, being able to be here every year with each other and experience the race. It's just something that we hold so dear to our heart. I was also very fortunate enough to see this car right here, Alexander Rossi's number 98 Napa Auto Parts car, win the 100th running of the Indianapolis 500 here.
Yes, indeed. It doesn't sound like he's underpowered. Left side wheels below the white line. Now with the short chute, now in turn 2. He may be done.
That car rolls through turn number 2, and it is underpowered. He has backed it down big time. Here comes Carlos Munoz and Joseph Newgarden. They're running second and third. Jake Query Rossi still the leader, but he's backed the pace down.
Alexander Rossi, the rookie out of California, is backing up the pace. Carlos Munoz charging. Alexander Rossi into turn number 4 on fumes.
Alexander Rossi for the final time. Exits turn number 4. Here he comes, Mark James.
He may have to coast it across the finish line. Alexander Rossi almost rolling to a dead stop. Twin checkers are out, and the rookie will win the 100th Indianapolis 500-mile race.
And now we will conduct some interviews with some of the biggest racing fans I know.
Mr. Joe Sullivan, one of the smartest people here, and this is his favorite car behind us, the Pink Sink. Now, first off, before we get into it, I'll just ask him, what makes this race and this place so special to you?
Well, I think when you first get here, you just can't imagine it being as big as it is. Mm-hmm. And then when you realize that it is that big, you start looking for things that are happening, and you're never disappointed. Right. And I think if you come here for your first race or maybe qualifications or whatever it is, carb day, Garrett, you just create memories that you always feel good about.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I remember when I came here first time in 1958, and it was for qualifications. And today I still think about that quite often, really. That day.
Oh yeah.
4 of us came up from Louisville.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then just tell us some about this car behind us.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, the Pink Zinc. Huh? Yeah. This is my favorite car, and this is going to sound a little corny, but when I was in high school, I graduated in 1955, so I'm getting old here. But anyway. pink and black days that started in 1954 and 55. And we wore the black pants and the pink shirts and the pink and black braided belt. But when I saw this pink car, here again, it just brought back a lot of memories.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And then I found out that the Bob Schweikert, the driver of this car, who was fatally injured the year after he won the race down in Salem, Indiana, I found out that his wife stayed away from here for about 30 years, and then finally came back and she wrote a book.
Awesome.
And it was entitled Along for the Ride.
Awesome.
And I read that book, and I'm telling you, here again, you know, just good memories. Awesome. Yeah.
The checkered flag for Bob Schweikert.
This right here is another one of my favorite cars in the collection. It's Mario Andretti's, it's a replica of Mario Andretti's 1969 Indianapolis 500 winner. Now, interestingly enough about this car in this race is that Mario Andretti used the same set of Firestone tires in the entire 500 miles of the race, which is something that, you know, nobody could do nowadays. But I really do think it's cool, you know, to see that he only used one set of tires the entire 500 miles of the race.
This was the one he wanted more than anything else in the world. And here it comes, Mario. The checkered flag of victory. He's done it.
Mr. Barbell, one of the smartest people in the museum, and I'm just going to ask you some questions again. Why is the Indianapolis 500 so special?
Well, I grew up in Indianapolis, and I first came to the museum. The beginning was 1963. I went to the old museum with my Cub Scout troop, and I never knew anything about race cars or about the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I had the opportunity to meet Tony Holman there that day, who owned the track. Did a track tour, thought it was all pretty cool. Came back in 1967 for my first race. Really fell in love with the place then. 67 is still my favorite race. This year will be my 50th race. The reason I keep coming back is every year's got a different experience to it, and the race itself is only part of it. Some of the races have been great, some not so great, but it's always an experience, and most of them I do remember. If I look at a certain year, I have memories back from that year. My goal is to make the next 8 races, and I'll be able to say I've been to half the Indianapolis 500.
That's awesome.
So we'll see how that goes.
Awesome, awesome. And then what about the car that you know behind us right now?
Oh, that's Marmon Wasp that won the very first Indianapolis 500 in 1911. We had short races here in 1909 and 1910. In 1911, they decided to make one race a year, the Indianapolis 500. And they came up with a 500-mile race because they thought that would be a nice day-long event for people to bring their families out and actually, you know, casually watch a race and picnic. The race took 6 hours and 43 minutes. It was won by Ray Haroon in this Marmon Wasp. The Marmon is actually a locally built car. It was down on the south side of Indianapolis where the Lilly headquarters are now. Originally in 1909 it was a 2-seat car. It got wrecked, and when it was rebuilt by Ray Haroon in 1910 we had aircraft races here, and that's where you got the body style for the Wasp as it is now, a single-seat car.
Ray Haroon has just won the inaugural Indianapolis 500.
We are here with Mr. Joe Virgin, one of the smartest and most knowledgeable hosts we have here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum. Now, Joe, what makes the Indianapolis 500 so special to you?
Well, it's part of my life's history. I've been coming since I was 14 years old. Before that, of course, I listened to it on the radio as a young boy. Couldn't wait to see the actual race in action. And once I did, I just thought to myself, I don't think I'll miss this again if possible. I haven't missed any. I did miss one 5 years ago when one of my grandsons graduated from West Point. I thought that might be a bit of a choice.
Right.
But I chose to go to the graduation. I have seen every race since 1959. It's kind of like Christmas. It's full of anticipation, and you can't wait till it happens again, and then it does. And then you enjoy that whole day. It's the largest one-day sporting event in the world, and it's kind of fun to be here, and yet you keep being excited by the racing itself. And I have a great deal of respect for those drivers that participate in it. It's kind of like you have athletic stars, and you go out and pull for your favorite, and sometimes they win. Other times they don't, and that's just the way it is. But nevertheless, it's something I do think is part of my, as I said, part of my history of life.
Awesome. All right, we are here with Mr. Spencer Fields, the Brownsburg tennis coach and a former pit crew tire changer for Dry and Reinbold Racing. So, Mr. Fields, why don't you tell us, kind of what you did?
So I got to know the Reinbold family through tennis, actually. I coached their kids' tennis, and then I got to talking auto racing with them, and was able to go to Japan twice, Indy 500 a couple times, and do various things for them. In some ways, I was there for 2 weeks just kind of hanging around, learning gearbox stuff, warming cars up, polishing rims. During the races, I was in charge of the back right tire and making sure that that tire does not necessarily go down the track. And then I was in charge of the dead man for this fuel operator. So he's going to fuel the car. The dead man is a safety valve that goes to the fueling. And then lastly, I was in charge of the communications on the center pit wall for Milka Duno's car for the 500. That allowed me just to sit on the center pit wall and put this signboard up every once in a while when nothing was happening, because they had radios as well.
Right. That's so awesome, especially since they don't allow anyone to stand in that pit row anymore. So that's really cool. You were able to do that. I have one more question. So you worked with 2004 Indianapolis 500 champion Buddy Rice. Can you kind of just explain to me like what the Indianapolis 500 meant to him as a former winner?
Yeah, so Buddy Rice was an amazing person. He was very smart with the car. I got to listen to his radio a lot when he's going around the track and talking through how he feels the turns, listening to the spotter and him interact. He's a 500 junkie. He's a guy that's very good in terms of feel of the car. Oh, yeah. Working with him, every time that he came into the pits, he had some really specific feedback that he gave to the teams, was able to both coach him, and then Townsend Bell, who was, at this point, the other driver along with us was Townsend Bell. He was basically a driver coach / owner, facilitator, and then also a winner. And what he brought in terms of winning was just an experience. He was just a very good person at coaching and helping the team try to be a winning team as well. He loved Dennis Reinbold. He loved the team. He loved the small time team as much as this racing is dominated by Andretti and Penske. He loved the small teams.
Oh yeah, for sure. And he's still with the team. I think he's a spotter. He does something with Ryan Reinbold Racing. Yes. And this year he will be with Ryan Hunter-Reay, former Indianapolis 500 as well. His car this year, which I think will be really strong. But thank you so much for doing this interview with us.
Hey, no problem. Thanks.
I hope you were able to learn something about the greatest race in the world and why the Indianapolis 500 is so important, not to just us fans, but U.S. history as well. And hopefully you get to see the awe-inspiring drive into victory lane and a frosty bottle of milk for the next winner of the Indianapolis 500 soon.
Tears in your voice right now. Well, you just don't know what Indy means.